Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jagannath SRIMAD BHAGVATAM ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Before reciting the SRIMAD BHAGVATAM, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer a respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Vishnu, the Supremost Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Knowledge, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtaprayeshu abhateshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naimishtihi. By regular attendance, classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. In loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Today we read from third canto, 12th chapter, 4th verse. And if possible, Sanakam cha sanandam cha sanatanam athatmadihi sanatanam athatmabuhu sanat kumaram chamuni nishkriyan urdhvaretasah sanakam cha sanandam cha sanatanam athatmabuhu sanat kumaram chamuni nishkriyan urdhvaretasah sanakam cha sanandam cha sanatanam athatmabuhu sanat kumaram chamuni nishkriyan urdhvaretasah
sanakam cha sanandam cha sanatanam athatmabuhu sanat kumaram cha muni nishkriyana uddharetasah
Sanakam cha sanandam cha
Sanakam cha sanandam cha
Sanatanam Adhanabhu Sanat Kumaram cha Muni Nishriyan Udvaretasa
Shanakam cha shanandam cha
Sanakam cha sanandam cha
Sanatanam athatmabhu
Sanatanam Adhanabhu
Sanat Kumaram cha muni
Sanat Kumaram cha Muni
Nishkriyam urdhvaretasa
Nishkriyan Udvaretasa Sanakam cha sanandam cha Sanatanam Adhanabhu Sanat Kumaram cha Muni Nishkriyan Udvaretasa
So repeat the word to word meaning. Sanakam,
Sanakam
Sanaka,
Sanaka
Cha, also, Sanandam,
Sanandam
Sananda,
Sananda
Cha,
cha
and Sanatanam,
Sanatanam
Sanatana,
Sanatana
Atha,
Atha
thereafter,
thereafter
Atmabhu,
Atmabhuhu
Brahma,
Brahma
who is self-born,
who is self-born
Sanat Kumaram,
Sanat Kumaram
Sanat Kumara,
Sanat Kumara
Cha,
cha
also, Muni,
Muni
the great sages,
the great sages
Nishkriyan,
Nishkriyan
free from all fruitive action,
free from all fruitive action
Urdhva Retasaha,
Urdhva Retasaha
those whose semen flows upwards.
those whose semen flows upwards.
Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. In the beginning, Brahma created 4 great sages named Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana and Sanat Kumara. All of them were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated due to their semen flowing upwards. Please repeat. In the beginning,
In the beginning,
Brahma created 4 great sages
Brahma created 4 great sages
named Sanaka,
named Sanaka,
Sananda,
Sananda,
Sanatana,
Sanatana
and Sanat Kumara.
and Sanat Kumara.
All of them
All of them
were unwilling
were unwilling
to adopt
to adopt
materialistic activities
materialistic activities
because they were highly
they
elevated
were highly elevated
due to the semen flowing upward.
due to their semen flowing upwards.
Although Brahma created the principles of nescience as a matter of necessity for those living entities who were destined to ignorance by the will of the Lord, he was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task. He therefore created 4 principles of knowledge: Sankhya, or empirical philosophy for the analytical study of material conditions; Yoga, or mysticism for liberation of the pure soul from material bondage; Vairagya, the acceptance of complete detachment from material enjoyment in life to elevate oneself to the highest spiritual understanding; and Tapas, or the various kinds of voluntary austerities performed for spiritual perfection. Brahma created the 4 great sages, Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana and Sanat, to entrust them with these 4 principles of spiritual advancement, and they inaugurated their own spiritual party or sampradaya known as Kumara Sampradaya, or later on as the Nimbarka Sampradaya for the advancement of bhakti. All of these great sages became great devotees, for without devotional service to the personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve success in any activity of spiritual value. So these last lines in many purports, they're very significant. The last lines of most purport. All of these great sages became great devotees, for without devotional service to the personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve success in any activity of spiritual value. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatimiraandasya Jnananjanashadakaya Chakshurmilabhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sarvana Raghunathanitam Tam Sajivam Sarvaitam Sarvaduktam Dvaitana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sarvanamrita Shri Vishakhanamrita He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tattakacha Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vedacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravataranga Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this chapter, there's a description of the secondary creation. Right? Secondary creation is explained. Primary creation, what is the primary creation? That is, the spiritual energy is already there. And in primary creation, some of the spiritual energy is transformed into the primordial, the material elements, and then the Lord glances over these elements and then activates them with the energy of time, and with this all the transformations in the world take place. So matter then evolves from the subtle elements, the sound, form, touch, etc., to gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. So sound is considered the most important element. It's the sound because it is very powerful, and by hearing or speaking the spiritual sounds, received from the spiritual world, so through the Vedas, we can achieve freedom from this material creation. So sound is the most important and powerful element. So then, after that, Brahma starts creating, and first he starts with his little nescient engagements. Prabhupada writes. Nescience means ignorance, like self-deception, sense of death, anger after frustration, sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception. So all this is because of forgetfulness of our real identity, our real identity. So then created all these things due to forgetfulness. So what's our real identity? Real identity means our real ego, right? That is, we are the servants of Krishna. So we have forgotten this, our real identity, that we are the servants of Krishna, right? And because we have forgotten, so what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? I give the forgetfulness. You know? So we know the truth, but we want to forget it. And we want to live with our false ego, not the real ego. You know, false ego. What is that? False ego, why it is called false ego? Because we have the false sense of ownership. You know, that everything belongs to me. You know, I control everything. So this false identity is there. You know. So, and these things which we think we are controlling, that is also given by the Lord Himself actually. But still we feel that we are the owners. So this, because of this identity of this false ownership, so we fall into this material world. And due to this reason, Brahma first created all these nescient engagements, so-called, you know, because we are ignorant now about the Lord. So He has created all these things which will eventually frustrate us and take us back to our real identity. So this is the reason why Prabhupada has created this. You know. Now, many things we do in our life, right? Many negative things which happen in our life or around us, then we think that why Krishna did not guide that person, you know, that that person was like say going to the devotees, you know, and the person was doing everything right, even though the devotee had some problems, you know, but still they were doing everything right. Then why this is happening? You know, why the person took such a drastic action? Maybe like even taking their own lives. You know, so why do such things happen? But the thing is, the reason the Krishna, it's not. They say, some say that was it Krishna's plan that they have done something negative, or is it their own thinking? You know? So it is definitely not Krishna's plan that such negative actions are being taken. It is Krishna's, but Krishna's sanction is there. You know, suppose negative thoughts keep coming. You know, in this world, we are like this. You know, we are subjected to this due to different pressures and all these things. You know, then we may start thinking ourselves. Any of our tendencies there, and we think that we can do think ourselves and do things on our own, and we are independent in spite of getting guidance from others. So when such a misuse is there of the independence and misconception is there, then the person goes down and down and down, you know, and then it's a very negative force which is created actually. And then when the living entities continues to forget in spite of guidance, then Krishna says, okay, you forget me completely, you know. And then Krishna allows them to go to the lowest position. And then, you know, that way they can understand, you know, how they are misusing their independence. Like, you know, taking their lives or something, or their own lives. So this is the thing which happens in this material world. It is never Krishna's plan. Krishna never intends to do this. We see even in the scriptures how Krishna always guides the living entities in every possible way. But if the living entity finally Krishna is not happy. But if we don't care, then Krishna lets us do what we want. So this is our condition. Like Ramapad Maharaj gave an example. In a snow-capped mountain, so there is snow, say, starts at the top. There's a little bit of snow, starts rolling down, and as it goes down, it collects more and more snow, and becomes even faster and faster, and it goes down. So, and when it comes down, it is really huge. It's very uncontrollable actually. Similarly, our negative emotions also are like that. Maybe it starts with a small thing. We cannot cope up with our life, our studies, some things like that. So these are the things we have to be very careful. Like children go overseas for studies, then we can't even guide them properly from here. But if we have given them Krishna consciousness, at least that protects them. So even negative emotions start in a small way, like little depression, I cannot cope up with with the peers, you cannot do this, I cannot do that. And then it becomes so overwhelming, negative emotion, like this avalanche, like it just comes down and down. It becomes such a big force that we cannot control it anymore. Then you don't hear Krishna's voice, nothing, and we just take a drastic action. So these are the things we have to be very careful like, and it is sanctioned by Krishna because the living entity is not ready to listen. It can be this is a very extreme example, but even in every part of our life we can think of this, we ourselves do this and we see others doing it, but just by simply advising, it's very difficult to change them actually. It requires a change in their practice and their beliefs, that is very important actually. And the Krishna consciousness helps us a lot. So even among ourselves and the future generations, we should as much as possible try to see Krishna consciousness that really protects us and will continue to protect the living entities in the future. So then Brahma created this, and then he was feeling very bad. You see how the living entities are suffering by forgetting, or by forgetting Krishna. So after this, then anyway, in fact he did all this because the conditions, so they have a tendency to forget Krishna, or they want to forget Krishna, so he had to create it, because that's what the living entities wanted. So then Brahma created the 4 Kumaras actually, so that's when this verse comes up in Bhagavatam. So in 275, these 4 Sanat, Sananda, Sanatana and Sanat Kumaras, they were the first sons of Brahma. Narada was their younger brother, Narada Muni. So they didn't want to do anything in this material world because of the conditions we discussed. So they were completely, focused on the spiritual path. Actually, this 275. In the chapter, in the second canto, where Krishna talks about different creation, this is the verse. Taptam tapo vividaloka sisrikshayami. So the Lord decided to create, to create different planetary systems. Brahma is saying to austerities and penances, and the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in 4 sanas, Sanaka, Sanat Kumara, Sanandana and Sanatana. You know. So in the previous creation, the spiritual truth was devastated, but the 4 sanas explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages. So when the world was annihilated at the end of one kalpa, so the knowledge also went, and then again it came back due to the 4 Kumaras. So the mission of Brahmaji was fulfilled by the grace of the Lord when the 4 sanas, namely Sanaka, Sanatkumar, Sanandana and Sanatana, appeared as his 4 sons. The 4 sanas were incarnations of the knowledge of the Supreme God, and as such they explain transcendental knowledge so explicitly that all the sages could at once assimilate this knowledge without the least difficulty. By following the footsteps of the 4 Kumaras, one can at once see the Supreme Personality of Godhead within himself. Then there's one more verse, 11, 13, 14 of the Bhagavatam, in which Krishna talks to Uddhava. Etavan yoga adishto mat shishyaihi sanakadivihi sarvato mana akrishya mai adhaveshate yatha. The actual yoga system as taught by my devotees, headed by Sanatkumara, is simply this. Having withdrawn the mind from all other objects, one should directly and appropriately absorb it in me. So this is the teaching